Hi, and welcome back to the 5-Minute Farmer. It's been a while, but it's starting to be that time of year again, so here we are, back at Chip's garden. So behind me, if you watch the end of last season, you'll know we planted our garlic and onion. Well, the onions are in now, but we ended with our garlic last season over in these bins where my dad normally does his potatoes. So hopefully you remember the potato bins, and there's no fence around these ones. So why we're not putting potatoes here this year is because we need to rotate them. I guess according to potato experts, if you use the same land, the same bins every year, you could get a potato pest that will ruin your potatoes. So we want to rotate them every so often. Since we've done the past handful of years here, we're rotating out. So the ones that are nice and tall are the garlic we planted at the end of last season. Then all these little sprouts are the onions. Now why these ones get to be in these bins is because, if you want to guess now, I'll give you a second. Because the deer will leave them alone. Deer are not going to bother these. They're very fragrant. Obviously, if they eat into the plants, they're kind of spicy. So we can have them in the area that is not fenced. Okay, so then the pressing question is, where are the potatoes going to go? They're just going to go inside the fence. They're going to be all down this row where the garlic and onions have lived. They don't always live there, but this is where they are going to be. So in these first 3 sets of bins, we always buy seed potatoes. As a reminder, I have a preference for a caribou russet. Sometimes my dad does some reds, but these are all going to be seed potatoes. We get them, this year they were very large. Most of the time we only have to cut them maybe in 1 or 2 pieces. I guess this year my dad had to cut them smaller because they were so large. He's done that. They are in the garage. You got to let them scab over before you can plant them so that they don't rot. So this is all of our normal stuff. Over here is where we're going to be doing something different. We had, well, in this bin, we just planted whole seed potatoes. And then left over from last year, we still had some potatoes that didn't get used and have now sprouted. So we've done some research. We looked online. There's a lot of methods you can do to use your sprouted potatoes to grow new potatoes. We are going to try 2 methods. The first one is what you can see here, which will be this whole bin of 20 potatoes. And that's, you just lay the sprouts long ways down in a trough, and they will eventually come up through the ground. But you initially want them laying horizontally in the trough. And then we will just cover them up and let them do their thing. In this second bin is method 2 that we are going to try. So this entails breaking off the large sprouts. You can leave these little guys, that's not a problem, but any of the big ones you want to break off, and then we're going to bury them down. So we are going to go through, and again, this bin, using this method, 20 potatoes, and we'll see which one has a better yield, or if it even makes a difference in planting. All right, now that all the potatoes are planted, we are putting the shavings back on. If you've watched previous videos of ours, you know we put the shavings on, help keep water in, keep weeds out. We do leave the shavings on all winter to protect the dirt. So before my dad planted potatoes, all he did was pull the shavings off. Now he's just putting them back on. And then these bins will be ready to go. Well, there you go. 25 potatoes. We'll see how they do.